Good afternoon, Ghana. My colleague Desmond of Crocodile is here. The latest happenings across the country. Desmond.
Hello, Bright. Definitely, I can see the smiles on the faces of all Ghanaians across social media. Everybody is happy. And this is what we've been looking forward to. And we're definitely wishing that we're going to, that is Canada, Mexico, and the USA. A lot of people are counting on the boys for this particular journey. So they cannot, do otherwise. Anyway, it's time for the news update. I am Desmond Crocodile. Let's take a look at our headlines this afternoon. As for ex-National Signals Bureau boss and his wife issued strongly worded statement accusing the Attorney General of violating the fundamental human rights of their clients. We'll tell you more in this bulletin. And also coming up just days after his lavish 40th birthday party, founder and board chair of the Bills Microfinance, Richard Amakwe, is in hot waters as Financial Intelligence Center has frozen his accounts amid probing to alleged tax discrepancies. And also coming up in this bulletin on Good Afternoon Ghana on the Business Edge, we will also take a comprehensive look at the asset declaration regime. The details of these and many more coming up in the bulletin. Please stay with us. Joining us to begin the bulletin from the Ashanti region, and the former Vice President Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has urged government to prioritize completion of the second phase of the KGTR market to ease congestion at the Central Business District of Kumasi. His concerns follows the fire outbreak last Friday that consumed hundreds of shops at the blue light section of the Idum PZ. Now, the former Vice President on Tuesday morning visited the affected area to commiserate with the traders and offer an assistance for the traders to be able to come back to business. He, however, presented 200,000 Ghana cedis and 1,000 bags of cement to the leadership of the affected traders. So let's get more details on the visit of the former Vice President as we speak to our Ashanti regional correspondent, Abdul Bassett. Suleiman Bassett, good afternoon. Thank you very much for your time here on Newsbeat. What more can you tell us about the visit of the former Vice President to the area that was consumed by fire?
Good afternoon to our viewers. Yes, early this morning, the former Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, visited this place to commiserate with the affected traders. You know, the fire occurred last week, Friday, and since then, a lot of dignitaries have been here to commiserate with the traders. So he was here together with some other party officials to see the extent of damage and urge the traders to remain as government intervenes to ensure that they come back to business. During the interaction, he entreated government as a matter of urgency to be able to complete the phase 2, which started by the New Patriotic Party, so that it will ease the congestion within the business district of Kumasi. The market is very close to the second phase of the KGTR market. So he believes when the place is completed, most of the traders who are plying their trade by the roadside would be accommodated into the market. So he asked government to speed up so that you'll be able to complete the project. Some of the, this morning too, the Ashanti Regional Minister was also here together with the Kumasi Traditional Council. Since the incident occurred, the traders have decided to build the place by themselves so that government would not forfeit the place so that they will not allow them to come back. So the regional minister told them that you have to confirm with Menchia Palace, who are the custodians of the land, before any other matter is discussed.
Okay.
So yesterday they visited the Menchia Palace, and this morning the traditional authorities came to assess the situation. They've ordered demolition of some structures that have blocked the way. There has been some fence wall, that was built by some private persons. They've ordered for its demolition so that the KMA will be able to create more access. The regional minister indicated that they want to create an access route. You know, one of the things that caused the fire to expand speedily was that due to lack of access, the fire tenders were not able to enter into the exact place that the fire was burning, so that to be able to quench it. So they are now going to construct access route so that in case of any emergency, any vehicle at all can pass through to be able to attend to any emergencies over here.
All right, Bassett, I want to understand from you also. I know that the regional minister met with some of the traders, and there has been talks about giving them, some money to get back to business. Talk to us about how the market people have accepted this and what's the way forward for that.
Yes, the regional minister himself solicited for funding from other philanthropists, and he was able to get some substantial amount of money. Aside that, some authorities was also here to also donate something. The Maslock, the CEO of Maslock was here, as well as the gender minister. They were all here to assess the situation. They also paid something to the minister to be able to help in redeveloping the place. The main concern here is that the traders who are applying their trade here mainly are youth. They claim that most of the time when such things happen, government try to come in so that they will not allow them to build the place. So their main concern is not about any financial support or any other. They want to get the authority to build it by themselves. They say even though they've lost a lot of capital, but they will be able to build the place if they are given that opportunity. They want it to do by themselves. The regional minister is also saying that they will not, even though if even they will allow them to do, they will do it with some specification with the authorities.
All right.
They will give them some specification in terms of the materials that you have to use, so that in case of any emergency, it will not cause any harm to or distraction to the environment.
All right, Bassett, thank you very much for speaking to us, and please keep your eyes on the ground. We'll come back to you subsequently. So that's our Ashanti regional correspondent, Abdul Bassett Suleiman, giving us some updates with respect to the fire incident that happened at the Edu Market last Friday. Now we'll move away from that to one of the trending stories of the day, and lawyers for ex-National Signals Bureau boss Kwabena Edu and his wife Angela Ede-Boateng have issued a strongly worded statement accusing the Attorney General, Dr. Dominic Ayine, of violating the fundamental human rights of their clients. Now, the legal firm Zoe Achianko condemned what they described as a reset version of the rule of law by the Attorney General, who they claim prematurely pronounced their clients guilty in the court of public opinion. Now, in a press release dated March 24, 2025, the law firm criticized the Attorney General for allegedly using a press conference to influence public perception by labeling their clients as state looters. They argue that such statements are inappropriate given that investigations by the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, are still ongoing. Here are portions of the statement as you see on your screen in a bit. So there you have it on the screen. It says that it is difficult to come to the terms with the fact that the Attorney General is comfortable with the press where there is no proof beyond reasonable doubt. The Attorney General has become the press prosecutor or persecutor of our clients, a judge in his own court, while simultaneously asserting that he is still investigating the case. This is counterintuitive. We do not believe a change of government through constitutional means should degenerate into a reset version of rule of law in which the press is fed with a pathetic, one-sided and untested position by the leader of the bar. This unmitigated prejudice with defamatory consequences will be prosecuted in the appropriate forum. We are shocked that the press conference, the Attorney General was even entertaining himself with issues of plea bargaining when the statements of the suspects are yet to be taken. It is even laughable that the age of Angela was lost on the Attorney General, given the fact that Yoko has seized her British passport, which obviously had her biodata. It continues that it is unfortunate that the wealth of citizens of Ghana with constitutional rights is being advertised to the whole world until Yoko finds a correlation between the proceeds of the alleged crime and the property acquisitions. Kwabena became the deputy director of the National Signals Bureau in 2016 during the NDC time in government. The NPP in power did not jettison his competences and vast experience in the field. Kwabena has been doing business well before he was appointed by the NPP government to the high office of director of the NSB. And it wraps us that it is very unprofessional to assert that the properties purportedly owned by our clients were acquired after 2018 when there is no verification that they belong to our clients using criminal proceeds from their work. With respect, this disjointed logic exposes the bad faith and the desperate attempt to give political color to the Attorney General's own self-confession that investigations are still ongoing. The Attorney General's appetite to eat uncooked meals is amazing. So that is the press release from the lawyers of Kwabena Dubois and his wife, with very strong words there for the Attorney General. And we stay on this particular story as we engage. We're asking that, is the Attorney General becoming a judge in his own court, or is he prejudicing this case as claimed by lawyers for Kwabena Dubois and his wife? And join us for a conversation on this is the former director of the Ghana School of Law, Kweku Ansa. Sorry, good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much for your time. First and foremost, what do you make of the presser yesterday held by the Attorney General and what was said of Kwabena Dubois? Is there really a prejudice stance from the Attorney General in this case? Hello, sir. Okay, so we're still working the lines to connect with our guest on there to understand really what the situation is with respect to this case. I remember the AG had this presser yesterday. He talked about a number of issues, and that includes the National Signals former boss, and that has got a lot of people talking. And let's get back onto the phone lines to connect with our guest. Hello, sir. Thank you very much for your time here on Newsbeat on Good Afternoon Ghana.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
Great. What do you make of the presser that was held by the Attorney General yesterday? And is there really a prejudice stance from him, as was referring to the case yesterday?
Thank you very much. You mean in respect of Dubois' case?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you once again, and thanks to your cherished listeners. I think that the time has come for the entire nation to speak out. The Attorney General, I think, has overstepped his constitutional boundaries. First of all, as Attorney General, he must, or the office must act at all times in accordance with due process of law. And the due process of law has been with us as a former colony of the British. It was first used in 1354 in England. And anybody who is interested, particularly the Attorney General and our judges, must look up the meaning of due process of law as it was used, and which can be found in the statute of 28th Edward 3, chapter 3. And it simply means the following. 1. Measures authorized by the 1992 Constitution regarding arrests and prosecutions, investigations, must be respected at all times so as to keep the streams of justice pure. 2. The Attorney General ought to know that investigations, inquiries, arrests, prosecutions, and trials are to be fairly conducted in accordance with the provisions of the 1992 Constitution. 3, that arrests and searches shall be properly made at all times, regardless of the status of the person sought to be arrested. 4, that unnecessary trials in the court of public opinion shall be eliminated, and they shall have no place whatsoever in our constitutional and democratic governance. 5, that the free use of the process of nolle prosequi by the present Attorney General should cease with immediate effect. It is not part of the constitutional framework. The Attorney General must be the first gentleman of the realm to respect the tenets of the Constitution. Finally, the Attorney General ought to be reminded that politically motivated arrest, persecution, humiliation, vendetta, and unnecessary hounding of innocent persons must be eliminated. Attorney General is a trained legal mind, a trained lawyer with a doctorate in law, and you ought to know that as a trained and respectable lawyer, the jungle rumble justice approach he has adopted is not going to be in his own interest and in the best interest of the nation. Now, coming to the Edubuahin saga, it is unfortunate for an Attorney General of a democratic country to ambush an innocent person, hound him out, bring the person out, to a politically arranged press conference, the sole purpose of which was to malign an innocent person. I think that what we should do as a nation now is to speak our minds out to whoever, be the person, the president of the nation, the chief justice, the attorney general, whoever. None of us is above the Constitution. No one under the current dispensation is above the law. Article 1, Clause 2 says that only the Constitution shall be the supreme law. The Constitution shall be the supreme law. And the Attorney General is none other than the defender of the public interest. And therefore, if as defender of the public interest, the Attorney General tramples on the rights, violates the rights and fundamental principles of innocent persons. I mean, he should be roundly condemned. If he has any shred of evidence, he must go to court, not at the airport. The Constitution has not established any court at the commercial wing of the Kotoka International Airport. And therefore, my humble advice, and to the judges who have all of a sudden found their judicial weapons and are granting orders for searches, should stop. No judge has been appointed in any particular, whether it is MPP, CPP, whatever P or NDC. No judge. I mean, I was appalled to read and hear that a judge had actually sanctioned the order which enabled JAPA and others to raid Dr. Addison's premises. I mean, the least said, the better, but it was so shameful that our own court, our own judge, should grant such an order in this day of age. That, I mean, we are heading towards civility, in the age of civilization, our attorney general and some, select few the judges who play jungle politics, it should come to an end.
Okay.
I mean, if Edubuahi is still being held, he should be released. And let us use the constitutional processes. Until a person is proven guilty, the person is innocent.
Okay.
Now, I'll end this thing by suggesting that if we are serious as a nation, all the party functionaries or the past regimes, including their president, should be arrested and charged. And let's put them, in when you put Mahama in the public court of public opinion, you will not come out clean. We still have the airbag saga there. Why are we just, selecting, going about our justice selectively? It's not going to help us as a nation. It is now clear that the nation has been divided between the MPP and the NDC. Both parties should be roundly condemned for the nonsense they are spewing out on innocent people. The nation Ghana is neither NDC nor MPP. It's Ghana, one destiny.
Okay.
We all have a common destiny. None of us should divide this nation along party lines.
All right,
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time there. And that was the former director of the Ghana School of Law, Mr. Ansa Asari, there talking to us about, the actions of the Attorney General. And he says that the Attorney General is not doing the right thing and is asking that the right things should be done in that regard. And we'll still stay on this. And my colleague, Shadrach Odami-Ejari, earlier spoke to the lawyer for Mr. Kwabena Edubuahin, and that is Samuel Atta-Achan.
I do not believe that when you pronounce somebody guilty already in the media space, you are doing justice. In fact, if you care to know, you are in the area of defamation. Because everybody that you suspect has committed a crime, in terms of the Constitution, is innocent until proven guilty by the court of competent jurisdiction and not by the media houses. So if an Attorney General, who is supposed to be the first gentleman at the bar, and an electoral law at that, is spewing, prejudicial matters concerning individuals he's not even spoken to. The people he's trying to malign, before the general public and international world, they've not even given their statement. They've not heard the side of their story. As a matter of fact, Yoko is not permitting lawyers to interrogate them in the confidentiality that a lawyer should have with his client. So upon what basis can an Attorney General come out with this jaundiced view about a matter that is in the process of investigation? The Attorney General is very good. That he wants to eat a meal which has not been cooked. And he said, it's been done before, and therefore what? We should repeat it. And we have not grown in terms of our constitutional dispensation. We are in the rule of law. So why are you saying that let the public judge somebody as guilty until I prosecute the person? What kind of justice would that be? It could be a travesty of justice. So what happens if you are not able to prove your case beyond reasonable doubt in the court of competent jurisdiction? How do you recall your words? It's embarrassing, and we should stop that.
So, Honorable, so you believe as a practice, should it have been that the AG would invite Edubuahin, take whatever interrogation you wanted to do with him or from him, get his side, and then
bringing more details of this particular story subsequently in our bulletins. You're still watching News BT on Good Afternoon Ghana. Now, away from that, the Minister for Communications, Sam George, has disclosed that the National Information Technology Agency has just 25 cedis in its bank account while leaving debt to the tune of over 813 million cedis. The minister, while exposing rot in the sector, said some 600 staff who were recruited after the December 7 election face contract termination.
Have inherited is deeply troubled, and it calls for a lot of re-engineering, because even from a legislative perspective, you have a situation where legislation in the sector is over 22 years old. You have the Ghana Telecoms Act, which is a 2003 law. You have the Postal and Courier Services Regulatory Commission Act, which is a 2003 law. You've got the Ghana Telecom, the Data Protection Act 2012. You've got the Electronic Transactions Act 2008, Electronic Communications Act 2008. And so, like I keep saying, the legislation in the sector is supposed to be in a museum, not in the ministry. And so, we're planning to, over the next 4 months, bring fresh legislation for all the agencies under the ministry to restructure the ministry. On the financial sector, the ministry is in very dire straits. Like I stated on the floor of the House, the NCA, which used to be a hitherto very buoyant institution.
Upon the news this afternoon, the 2,000-year group of Every Girls Senior High School has launched their legacy projects for their alma mater at a simple ceremony in the Eastern region. And we'll bring you more details of that story subsequently. That's it for the news this afternoon. I am Desmond Okrekodan. So back to Bright Nana Kwesiamini for the rest of the program.
Sometimes the unexpected happens and the hero falls down in his own story. But he needs not stay down for long. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance is your trusted health partner. Whether an individual building a business, with Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern. For the best health insurance solutions for corporate institutions, groups and associations, families and individuals, choose Cosmopolitan Health Insurance from our over 700 accredited health service providers nationwide. Call us on 0302 540 668 or 0501 678 547 for all your health insurance solutions. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern.
Attention all farmers, are you ready to take your crops to the next level? Introducing 3 effective organic composts that will revolutionize your farming practices. ACAP, KCAP and IRICOP brings to you the ultimate solution for your fertilizer needs. Introducing the ACAP Grade A, KCAP Equiafua Jinkwa, and the IRICOP with cocoa blends, palm blend and mulch. These are made from locally sourced municipal solid waste, and these are the perfect choice for sustainable farming. Join the organic revolution today. Boost your crop yield, improve soil health, and support sustainable farming practices. Choose ACAP, KCAP and IRICOP organic compost for a greener and bountiful harvest. For your purchase and more information, call the numbers on your screen. Our products are endorsed by COCOBOD, Planting for Food and Jobs, and the Ministry of Food and Agriculture.
So welcome back to Good Afternoon Ghana Business Edge Edition, usually hosted by Akosia Free. I'm listening from here this afternoon. And so welcome once again to the program. Just gone by was my colleague Desmond Okrekodan with the latest updates across the country. And don't forget we are live on Facebook and YouTube at Metro TV Ghana, on X and Instagram at Metro TV GH. This afternoon, we'll be looking at a couple of issues, including consumer protection, where over 50% of Ghanaians are unaware of their rights. And also, FIC freezes bill microcredit founder and CEO's personal and company accounts, and same FIC freezes bills micro credit founder and CEO's personal and company account as well. I'll be telling more of this. My guest this afternoon is Apia Kusi Adumako Esquire, Director for West African Regional Center, CATS International Accra, and Francis Timo Boy Esquire is a tax analyst and member of Chartered Institute of Taxation, Ghana, who will be joining me on Zoom for a conversation. So yes, this is what we'll be looking at this afternoon. More focus on what exactly it looks like after a lavish birthday party with over 1,000 people attending. A number of them from Nigeria, Ghana, and even one of the most top-notch, American actresses, Sherry Lee, was even in Ghana to attend. Days after that, we hear GRA saying that there are issues of taxation and what exactly the issues are. We are going to make sure to break them down here this afternoon for you to understand clearly here on the show. Good afternoon, Ghana. Now, the founder of Bill's Microcredits and owner of multiple businesses, Richard Amakwe, has had his bank account frozen amid a probe into alleged tax discrepancies. Now, the entrepreneur, who is said to control a portfolio of 29 companies, is reportedly under investigation for inconsistencies between his declared tax filings and his expected obligation. Now, the move by authorities comes days after Amakwe's high-profile 40th birthday celebration, like I told you earlier, which drew widespread attention on social media. Estimates suggest that the event, attended by some 1,400 guests, cost as much as $2 million. The Ghana Revenue Authority is undertaking an income tax assessment on the businessman. The process is part of an audit system by the GRA to ascertain the level of tax compliance in the country. I beg your pardon, those were some visuals of the lavish birthday party of Richard Ni Amakwe right there. A number of people were here in Ghana. I mean, you can talk of Neo from Big Brother Africa. You can talk of Richard Dominic in the Edo from Nigeria and all that. And Sherry Lee, I mean, Glad in Red. MCs, you can see there, Jocelyn Duma. And one of Nigeria's top MC right there as well, the lady who was glad in a nice outfit as well. And the party actually was looking good. I mean, it had about three different stages, I should say. Gold, they call the first one gold, representing the name KO. They had the blue, which is Aqua, representing the name Aqua, and Ama, and also Richard, which is there. They had that one looking red for social media, businessmen, influencers on TV and all that who were there to cheer with him. Musicians, one of the biggest musicians from Africa, three of them. Let me ask Stonebwoy. Stonebwoy was there. Davido from Nigeria, Diamond Platnumz from Tanzania, among others, including VJ Meato of the Year Hopeful, Kim Promise, Sarkodia was there as well, Kiddy was there as well. And so these are some live visuals from the event. Money's been thrown in the air and all that, but GRA says, hey, you can't go out there talking about money and not pay your taxes. And so his personal account has been frozen, including that of the company, to ensure that they do some inquiries into the issue, what exactly it looks like. And so we are trying to get to Francis Timo Boy, who is a tax expert, to speak to us about what exactly this means. I mean, We know that on the night he received a number of 3 cars as a gift. We are told that even when you are given a gift, you are supposed to pay taxes on them. What exactly is the situation like? I mean, how much money is he being owing? We are told is almost 3 million Ghana cedi. How true are these figures? And if found guilty, what are going to be some of the consequences that could be laid against him? And that's when we get him, we are going to speak to him. And I'm being told that Francis Timor Boy Esquire, tax analyst and member of China Institute of Taxation Ghana, has joined me now on Zoom for a conversation. Thank you so much for joining us here this afternoon. And that's when we get. Hello, Francis. Can you hear me?
I can.
Great. Thank you so much for coming. That's on Good Afternoon, Ghana.
Good afternoon.
First of all, what can you tell us about this charge by the GRA?
So the charge is not by GRA. It is the Financial Intelligence Center.
Right.
That is, they issued this freezing orders under the Anti-Money Laundering Act, Section 56. It mandates the Chief Executive Officer to issue this order to banks to freeze the account of suspected money laundering or suspected tax evaders. Or if you are into or you are sponsoring terrorism, then the Chief Executive Officer of the center can issue this order. What we are hearing is that the gentleman at the center of this whole issue, Niama, made some declarations that suggest that he may have earned some income which potentially he has not paid the right taxes on it. And so they may be suspecting potential tax evasion. You know, tax evasion is where you deliberately or intentionally refuse to pay tax when you know under our law. So that is what is happening now. So the GRA only stepped in to confirm or whether the gentleman has really paid taxes on all his income that he claims to have earned.
Now, how serious are these, should I call them, allegations?
They are very serious. If you look at under our law, indeed, tax evasion is a crime, and one can go to prison for up to 20 years. Under the Income Tax Act, if you earn income from employment, from business, or from investment, you're supposed to account for the right taxes.
Right.
You're supposed to file your returns by 30th of April as an individual. So even you may have companies, mostly companies, they pay dividend to the shareholders or the owners. So the taxes will be deducted when the dividend is being paid to you. But whatever income you earn, if it is not exempt under the law, you are supposed to account for the taxes on it. If you are found to have engaged in tax evasion, it's a criminal offense and you can go to prison.
And as a businessman who has 29 companies under his belt, I mean, to what extent can this affect his businesses, especially business partners?
Of course. So you see, first of all, the assets of the companies are likely to be frozen, even though we have the separate legal entity. If you have assets, first of all, they will freeze it. And so that is what we are suspecting the Financial Intelligence Center doing now. And again, the business associates, if you are likely to have engaged in tax evasion, potentially it could extend to your associates. So GRA will likely bring on board the people you have dealt with, also check them, whether they have also accounted for their taxes in accordance with them. So it has a widespread effect. Aside the person who is at the center of this case, of course, reputation is also key, especially one of his companies is microcredits or microfinance. You take people's money and you invest. Do you think that people are going to have that confidence, especially since we have seen some before? We heard of the NAM1 and all the other financial institutions. Everybody will be afraid to deal with you.
Right.
So I think it has a wider impact than we are seeing.
I mean, you made mention of how partners could even be affected by this revelation by the FIC, how they could also be investigated, whether they have also evaded tax and all that. Tell me how they could also be affected as well. Aside the fact
No,
that
you
it could also
see,
be investigated.
yeah. So you see, if I am dealing with you and I don't pay taxes,
Right.
the fact is that the transaction that we entered into, assuming I entered into a land sale with you, and I sold it to you, and maybe, or even let's take it, the fact that I entered into a joint venture with you,
Right.
and have been found to have engaged in tax evasion. We share the money, or we share the profits. If I paid my taxes, potentially you would also have paid. So if the share is looking at end to end, where people involved in a particular transaction and one did not pay taxes, automatically they will want to check the other guy to see if he also accounted for his taxes. Nowadays, most of the tax transactions are online. So you paid it, we get your Ghana card. We need is your Ghana card. We log on to the DRA portal, and they can print your tax returns. If they print it and they compare the taxes you have paid with the income that you have, look at the properties that he said he made $1 billion. The question is, if this money belongs to you, what is the corresponding taxes? Today as we speak, our maximum tax rate in Ghana is 35%. So roughly, if I take 35% of whatever income that you claim you have earned, and those incomes are not exempt under the law, I should be able to tell the estimated tax that you should pay. I compare with, and you know, they have the access, they have the records. When they check the taxes that you have declared and paid, government is not equivalent to what you claim you have earned. Certainly, they will do more investigation.
Now, after, analysts who claim that the party organized may have cost about $2 million US. You are confronted with such allegations by FIC, and even cleared or stand by GRA to say that yes, it's true. You may have evaded taxation and tax and all that. Now, if, say, he's found guilty, what role may this party he organized, that was almost, as we are told by analysts, cost $2 million, what role could it play in making sure that the case is actually fixed?
Honestly, some of us did not even know this gentleman until the party. So
Yes.
in my perspective, I think the party attracted attention, and that is why the authorities are going into it. If you look at the order from the FIC that we are seeing on social media, it appears it started from, the order was given on 21st of March, 2025. So potentially they might have also got wings from an upcoming party where people have been invited and some cash is being donated. And the party was magnificent. We saw it. We all saw it on social media. So certainly, it will draw attention to many people who, for ordinary reason, wouldn't have come to you to come and ask questions. But for the party that you have organized and the amount of money that you have invested in that party for a birthday party, and the caliber of people who are coming, and look, all of these things will certainly not go unnoticed. People will notice it, and then it become the talk of late. So it played a key role. It threw the light onto the gentleman, and maybe this wants to find out more.
Right. Now, let me also ask you this one quickly. You may mention the fact that the party may have drawn the attention to him and his assets and all that. Would you say that it would have been best if the party hadn't been organized at all?
Oh yes, personally. See, many people do, things where people don't know. We are even the CIA in US. They act on intelligence and information. So if you hide in your room and you do something without anybody noticing it, the tendency that people would speak and ask questions is very limited. So personally, if what we are hearing is true, that he had evaded tax, we are yet to know the findings. If he evaded tax, as the FIC is saying, then I bring troubles to yourself. Yes, we are not encouraging criminality, but he didn't know that he needed to comply with tax obligations. You could have consulted somebody and say, okay, guys, this is the kind of money I'm making. Then the proper advice would be referred to you. For example, you have earned some income. You meet somebody and they will tell you that, okay, go and pay taxes. In that case, you go and sit down with the GRA and you settle the matter with them. Now you didn't go, you have not come public. For them to come forward, it becomes difficult for you to go and plead for, leniency if it happens that you didn't even know you were supposed to pay taxes. I'm just giving him that benefit of the doubt. You understand? So he shouldn't have, and maybe consult somebody. I'm sure he has a lot of advisors, legal, business, who might have, consulted or advised based on the kind of money that he's making. But if you allow the authorities, number one, your reputation is damaged, and they are not releasing all the assets in the against you, and it becomes difficult, and your crime becomes, public.
Now, probably, let's say after investigations and the FIC finds out that, yes, it's true, you've evaded taxation and having paid some taxes expected of you after earning this amount of money, and he says, okay, allow me to make the payments, will he be made to go without facing the 20-year jail term?
No. You see, under the tax law, we have what we call pecuniary penalties. Pecuniary means that we'll give you monetary amount. Okay? And aside that, the court has the power to sentence you as a detriment. It's a crime. And so we don't allow people to just pay for the crime and then go away. You remember when there's embezzlement, somebody squanders some money, will take the money from you, whether by selling your assets to pay for the liability. After that, we still sentence you as a detriment to people who may want to engage in that. So both can happen. Both can happen. The government can say, pay all the taxes, but you appear before a judge depending on the severity of your crime and whether you knew about it, the knowledge of it. The court can sentence you to prison, and in this case, it can go for up to more than 20 years. You remember in criminal cases like this, Yoko can also come in and apply various aspects of the law. We want to see what the authorities will do.
Right. Francis, before I let you go, is there anything you want to say to probably business out there who may want to also go down the same line?
So for me, I admit that tax education is very low in Ghana. In some other countries, you don't just display your wealth without fulfilling your obligations. Ask Elon Musk. He comes to say he's the number one largest taxpayer in the world. He knows that if you earn income, you need to discharge your obligations. There are laws. So ignorance of the law is not an excuse. If you are making money, remember the government or the state in which you're operating has an interest in it, and therefore you need to fulfill your obligations. Tax evasion is a crime, and we have to avoid it. So our brothers and our sisters too are doing very well. People do well, but it is also good to fulfill the obligations of the tax law and give your fair share to the country so that at least help the generations to come.
All right, Francis, thank you so much for coming with us here on Good Afternoon Ghana. I mean, Francis Timor Boy, Esquire, is tax analyst and also member of Chartered Institute of Taxation here in Ghana. He's been speaking to us via phone. A conversation concerning the financial intelligence center freezing the accounts of Richard Ama, who is the board chairman of Bills and also some other companies, 29 companies under his belt, including Tigon Studios and all that, for tax evasion, following a lavish party thrown here in Accra. That saw a lot of people from around the world come in. I said around the world because, I mean, there was somebody from the U.S., some people from the U.S., some people from Tanzania, from Nigeria, from Ghana, and other places all thronged to Independence Square to share in his glory as he marked his 40th birthday. But according to Francis, it would have been better if he had not even, organize the party at all, just to keep things, quiet. But that could have also been a crime. Like it says, ignorance of the law is no excuse. And so I'm still here on Good Afternoon, Ghana. And as he told us, he could be made to go to jail for about 20 years. Even if he agrees to settle charges financially made against him by the FIC or GRA, or even if Yoko comes in to say, listen, you really owe this amount of money, and he pays, he could be made to go to jail for about 20 years. And that's where the case is right now. Don't worry, we're still here on Good Afternoon, Ghana. After this quick 10, we'll be looking at other issues here on the program. And my guest has already joined me in the studio. And we'll be talking to our peer, Kumasi Adumako Esquire, who is Director for West African Regional Center, CATS International here in Accra. So stay with me, I'll be back from this break with more. Don't go anywhere.
Sometimes the unexpected happens and the hero falls down in his own story. But he needs not stay down for long. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance is your trusted health partner. Whether an individual building a business, with Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern. For the best health insurance solutions for corporate institutions, groups and associations, families and individuals, choose Cosmopolitan Health Insurance from our over 700 accredited health service providers nationwide. Call us on 0302 540 668 or 0501 678 547 for all your health insurance solutions. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern.
Mommy.
Michelle say, fe.
Different era, better result. Time has changed and time has brought Kel Chocolate Toothpaste, healthy gums, anti-cavity, fresher breath, and it whitens teeth. Kel Chocolate Toothpaste, Sankofa.
Yenchi, Kel Chocolate Toothpaste.
Happy smile.
This advert is FDA approved.
You're still watching here, watching us live here on Good Afternoon Ghana. Very active and live on social media, on Facebook and YouTube at Good Afternoon Ghana. You can tag us hashtag Good Afternoon Ghana. But the page is Metro TV GH, and same on X and on Instagram at Metro TV Ghana. Just tag us Good Afternoon Ghana, or just simply say GAG. I'll respond to all your messages. But let me ask you this big question. I mean, how much money are you spending for your viewing pleasure? You know, it's people are outraged by how much money DSTV is asking them to pay, only to be able to watch what they want to watch. You get it. And before I even tell you what exactly these things on your screens are, my guest already in the studio, so you can see him in my shorts. Don't be bothered. He's my guest for the program here this afternoon. Thanks so much for joining us here. So let me take you through this. DSTV new subscription fee. There are 5 rows here. The first one says residential. Current price in Ghana cedis, new price in Ghana cedis, price difference in Ghana cedis, and the percentage of increments is also here as well. So we have premium, compact plus, compact family access, DSTV lights, DSTV HS standalone, Great Wall add-on, French add-on, French plus add-on, French touch add-on, premium with Asia add-on, premium with French add-on, and HDPVR. The HDPVR, okay, we come to that. That's if you want to get extra clear viewing. You get, so the premium currently is at 750 Ghana cedi. And the new price is at 865 Ghana cedi. So the price increment is 115 Ghana cedi. A percentage of 15% increment on it. Let's look at Compact Plus. Currently at 495 Ghana cedi. It will move from this amount to 570 Ghana cedi. Price difference is 75 Ghana cedis. 15% increment. Compact stands at 330 Ghana cedis. Now, it will be moving to 380 Ghana cedis. The price difference is 50 Ghana cedis. Also has a percentage of 15%. Family 165. New price 190 cedis. Price difference of 25 Ghana cedi. Stands at 15%. And so yes, it goes through. It's all the way to HDPVR. And the only difference in percentage is with French add-on. That is from 215% to 250%, with a price difference of 35 Ghana cedi, which stands at higher at 16%. But another one is higher than the French add-on, which is the DSTV Lite. 50 Ghana cedis, has an increment of 9 Ghana cedis, and it stands at 18%. But one has actually dropped, which goes around 14%. Thank you so much for joining us here this afternoon.
Thank you, Bright.
Why this increments each and every single time? Imagine somebody who I was telling you earlier, who may or might be having two different decoders in their room. Because I believe that it affects GoTV as well, or just the DSTV.
No, that's also, GoTV is also priced differently.
Now,
yes.
So imagine somebody also using GoTV and DSTV at the same time, with this increment in new prices. Why do we have this happening almost every single time? And it's not just once. It's so regular and rampant. What's the issue?
Unfortunately, businesses that run businesses in Ghana have the right to increase their prices based upon the cost of production. So, for example, if they are paying more for utilities, if they are paying more for water, if taxes are going up, and also, let's say, cedi exchange rate also affects, because they buy most of this content from abroad. And for that reason, they have to also be able to sell the services in a way that they are able to break even and get profit so that they can stay in business. So increasing your prices is not bad. It is standard practice for every business. And of course, MultiChoice is not the only company in Ghana that has increased prices. And so let us be fair to them on that angle. Okay.
No, sorry, can you continue, please?
So, price increase is not bad, but maybe sometimes it becomes much of a worry when we get to see that businesses are taking advantage of their share monopoly in the market to increase their prices arbitrarily.
Right.
But this one, we cannot say that it's an arbitrary increase. 15% average is not necessarily bad, just that the minimum...
It's not bad, you say.
I
think it's relative.
Hold on. Just that the minimum wage went up by 10%. And the GoTV people are those in the minimum wage bracket. So if the GoTV goes up, or can you go back to the screen again?
Yes, can you give us the figures again, please?
Yes.
Don't worry.
There is a particular user group of MultiChoice.
Yes,
those assets people, the assets people, they find themselves...
Assets here, 85 Ghana cedi to 99 Ghana cedi.
And then their increase is what?
16%.
And meanwhile, there are those who are also earning minimum daily wage, and the minimum daily wage was also increased by what? 10%. And so you realize that this increase also bears them out. Do you get it?
So because my minimum daily wage has been increased, it has to be attached to my viewing pleasure.
Yes. But I mean, largely, I think that this is not going to be the end of price increases in Ghana. If the cedi depreciates, they may consider it worthwhile to increase prices. Of course, utility prices have been going up. Water and fuel prices goes up almost every week, every 2 weeks. I mean, what we pay at the pump. But I think the key issue that I'm very much concerned about this thing is that MultiChoice has a contract with consumers, and it's we pay 1 month in advance. And when you have a 1 month contract and you want to increase tariffs, you don't give your customers 1 week notice. The notice came yesterday in SMS and also email.
I have mine on my phone.
And they did this same thing in Nigeria last year. And the Nigerian, the Federal Consumer Protection and Competition Commission in Nigeria said no. It went to court, and the court said, look, it's wrong that you give your consumers 1 week notice, because it's a 1 month contract, and so any intention to increase prices, you should give them 1 month notice so that people can plan, and those who want to switch may also find enough time to switch. But because Ghana, we don't have consumer protection law here, and so MultiChoice can do most of these things here in Ghana, and nobody can take them on. But if the decision from Nigeria is persuasive enough, I think that MultiChoice Ghana could have also learned from the decision from Nigeria and try to do what is best, reasonable, and acceptable within the environment in which they operate. And of course, they are not the only company in the world that runs digital and satellite services.
Absolutely.
You go to US, you go to Europe, and there's always at least 2 months notice. But here, it's just 1 week. And I think it's also an affront to Ghanaian consumers. And I think that we may have to also maybe express some righteous indignation to the service provider that they have to pause their tariff review for this month of April and then give consumers enough time for them to plan how they go about certain things.
I know you're expressing your displeasure, and I believe you're not just the only person who is a bit unhappy about this. Let's go on social media and also listen to Ghanaians, people and what they are saying according to what exactly this increment means to them. Because imagine if you have 5 days remaining for your viewing and you are texted a day and you are told that the increment is in session, how do you go about it? David says, I am finally done with DSTV. So he's done with DSTV. Probably he wants to watch something else. And Nana Tax says we will continue to use our China decoders. Which ones are the China decoders? Please, don't put me in trouble. Isaac says, pay. I think this means that we all pay, right? The guys in the house. And please, our communication minister should do something about it. Hello, this one is A, or the TV station where Yezu says they will do for us to subscribe to. No, please, they should do so. You subscribe to less and enjoy course A. Okay. Please make your messages more readable and understandable. Okay. Tobiano Forsen says, I just don't know why Ghanaians can't come together and boycott them. This is absolute. And you just saw it there. Michael Lord John says, and they will be calling you to subscribe. They are not serious. This issue of calling and asking why is your decoder not back on? Okay. McAfee that says, I am selling mine. I can't do again. It's going for sale for McAfee. And these are some few messages from social media, I believe, Twitter and all that. But, I remember back in Nigeria, when this increment happened, before the court even took charge of it, the people went on demonstration. People weren't subscribing to it again. They lambasted the outfit and told them reasons why it wasn't right for them to keep increasing, the amount each and every time. And something was done about it. Can we do the same as Ghanaians?
So in Ghana, we don't have any regulatory framework to handle this. If we were to have the consumer protection law or the competition law in Ghana, perhaps we can have the framework to address this. We can just go on social media and talk, or go march on the street. But if the company is also reasonable, because Ghana is also a very good market, that they don't want to leave the market. Because once you leave, somebody will also come and replace you. Yeah. So, but one thing that is more important is that we need to express our anger about this, because if it was a Ghanaian business operating in South Africa I'm not sure that they can give 1 week notice about this increment. This is not a pure water, sachet water that you buy over the counter and leave. People need to plan about their consumption pattern. Some people might have even done auto debit on their account so that every month the charges are debited. Now, in case you don't have enough money, you plan that you have, let's say, 330 for the compact. You think that your 345 cedis will be able to sort for your next payment. By the time you realize it's gone up to 380 and you don't have enough money to go to finance your payment. So I think it's very wrong, and I hope the multi-choice is also watching us, and this station, Metro TV, is also on their platform.
Yes, channel 277.
And I think that they should also listen the heartbeat of the Ghanaians so that they can do what is fair. And this is a fair and a reasonable practice to do. You can't just increase tariff. Let me put on record, I'm not against the company's desire to increase that is their business decision. It's their business decision. But however, the notice of 1 week is very bad, that they should actually pause and rather give Ghanaian at least a month notice like they do in Nigeria and even in South Africa.
Right. I know that your outfit has conducted some research work on this, and I wanted to speak about it. So the latest report by research and advocacy think tank CATS International in Accra has shown that more than half of Ghanaian consumers lack awareness of their rights, leaving them vulnerable to poor service, excessive charges, and ineffective complaint resolution. On Good Afternoon Ghana today, as we're already doing, we are, looking at what exactly issues are and try to understand the implications of this lack of awareness of consumer rights and what can be done to correct this. And my guest here is helping me on what exactly to understand when it comes to Ghanaians understanding their rights as consumers. So let's take a look at your research work done so far. And here we have it. Results, road safety, frequency of public transportation usage. 1.55% of respondents use public transportation. And so this is also part of the research work you've done.
Yes.
So we are moving away from the DSTV conversation.
Yes.
And we are looking at this for now. Right.
Yes.
Take me through this.
Okay, so we did a study across 8 different sectors: water, electricity, telecom, banking, road safety, aviation, e-commerce, and there's also, I think I've forgotten about the other one. So, and sanitation. And the research largely shows that when Ghanaian consumers have problem on the services that they have subscribed to, they don't know. They hardly complain. Most people will just join the Methodist, the hymnists, and sing, "What a friend we have in Jesus. What a privilege to carry everything to God in prayer." So when Ghanaians get a problem, they carry all their problems to God in prayer. But that is very wrong, because they don't know that they can escalate the problem to the service provider, and even if the service provider is not able to address that particular challenge, they can also go up to the regulator. And so the research shows a whole lack of knowledge gap between what is supposed to be and what the consumer knows. And let me say this: the ignorance, I don't want to use the word ignorance, the lack of awareness between those with higher level of education is not necessarily different from those with a minimum level of education.
Right.
And I want to put the blame on our regulators, because if you are a regulator, you are regulating the service providers and at the same time also promoting the welfare of consumers. And so the regulators are the one to spend resources to educate consumers that, look, if your light goes off without any reasonable cause, there is a hotline to call.
Yeah.
For example, if ECG power surges so high, say that it destroys your gadget, these are your rights that you can pursue. But unfortunately, the regulations are there in the airlines, but then the consumers don't know about it. And so consumers, when they get this problem, they take the problem to themselves, talk about it on radio, and then it ends there. Because when you talk something on radio, it doesn't force the service provider to take any action or the regulator.
Right. Now, I'm going to let us speak about it, but before that, tell me, what actually even prompted your interest in conducting such a research?
Okay. So first, our interest, what necessitated this research is that we've realized that the general level of awareness about consumers in Ghana is very poor. Business have taken advantage of the limited knowledge of consumers in the market.
Right.
So in economics, we call what we call information asymmetry. One person knows more, has more information than the other. The supplier, the business has more information than the consumer. And so for that reason, they don't want to do what's required of them. Adolf Hitler says something that I use my emotions for many and reserve the reasons for the few. So businesses necessarily knows that they are required to do A, B, C, D for you. But until you come and agitate, like the way Nigerians will agitate when you don't serve them well. Yeah, so that was one of the reasons. Number two, another reason was that we don't have a consumer protection law. So we want to be able to also generate evidence to show the level of injustices that businesses are meting out to consumers. And that this research catalogs the problem that consumers are going through. For example, when you go into the telecom sector, the issue of slow internet, people's data are going off. Their data are vanishing.
Yes. And
they don't have any access to recourse mechanism. And sometimes, and it's very bad that in Ghana, when you get a problem, you just, fama nyame, because you don't believe that you can get justice. And this is very wrong. But until the consumers are able to rise up, until we are able to also empower consumer movement in Ghana, businesses in Ghana will continue to
suffer.
Take
advantage of us.
Take advantage of us. And sometimes they think that they are doing you a favor when you are buying things from them. Last week, my Lord Justice Doche said, look, when you go to a shop to buy a product, they think that they are doing a favor. Meanwhile, the businesses, they need your money. If consumers are not there, there will be no business. But they think that they are doing a favor, which I think is very, very wrong.
Absolutely. Let's go back to this. This is the banking and financial services. Account ownership, 91.87% of respondents have sought banking or financial services. 97.61% of respondents have a bank account in the country. Banking experiences, here we go. Take me through this.
So we realize that we want to look at how consumers feel when they go to the banking hall for services. And the way I'm served in the banking hall, you realize that about 10% of the respondents say that they are not happy about the way that they are served in the banking hall.
10%?
Yes, that is 9.1, which is about 10%. Yes.
Only 10%?
Yes. But then you also see that there's also fair. Fair is also there. Right. But largely, you've seen that for the banking sector, let me be very frank and honest, we've seen a lot of improvement in the banking hall. However, some banks have become more like a tourist center. When you go, you have to spend more time before you get served. Ideally, when you go to a banking hall to perform a transaction, you shouldn't spend more than 30 minutes there because you don't earn your daily bread from that bank.
Yes.
But sometimes at banks, when you go, you must be willing to spend 2 to 3 hours. And I think that consumers are not happy about it. Unfortunately, people want to use electronic channels to transfer money. But because of e-levy, most people want to go to the banking hall. But thank God that the e-levy is now on its
way out.
On its way out. Once it goes off, and the banks are able to improve upon their digital channels, I believe that it will reduce the volume of traffic in the banking hall.
Right. So, 10% was for poor.
And let's also talk about reliability of ATM.
Okay.
ATMs in Ghana are not largely reliable.
Can you take it back, please? Take it back today. Yes, there we have it.
ATMs in Ghana are not reliable. When you go to some bank, for example, let's say I have a bank with Bank A, and I pay a monthly cost of, let's say, 10 cedis for usage of their ATM. Meanwhile, when I go and use my bank's ATM machine, it is off because maybe all the time. So I have to go and use Bank B because the card is a Visa or MasterCard. Then, when you use a third-party ATM, they will charge you, let's say, 5 cedis or 10 cedis. Now,
extra cost,
which is very wrong, because I have a contract with the bank to make sure that the ATM is always active. So in countries in Asia, what they have done is that the banks allow for tariff-free withdrawal on third-party ATM machines. This is to be able to account for the downtime with the ATM machine as to whether there's technical electricity or lack of money in the machine. So that at the end of the day, the consumer is not what? Charged. Consumer is not fleeced on this kind of thing. But in Ghana, it appears that we've kept quiet about this thing, and this thing is being perpetuated against consumers. Because maybe people may say that 12 cedis or 15 cedis you pay when you use a different ATM machine is not that much.
But see, how many people even know that if I should go and use my MasterCard or my Visa card on a different ATM machine, I get charged with a higher with a higher amount of money. Unlike me using it straight to my bank's ATM machine. So that means if I'm supposed to be taking, they are supposed to take me about 10 cedis, they are taking 15 cedis.
Yes. And another thing that I've also realized that there are some banks, when you go and use their ATM machines, they don't, the maximum you can withdraw is, let's say, 100 cedis, 1,000 cedis. Mm-hmm. So if you want to withdraw 5,000 cedis, you may have to do 5 separate transactions. And every transaction that you do, you are charged. This is also a fraud against the consumers. Some banks have done very well. Some banks you can withdraw as high as 6,000, 10,000 Ghana cedis per second transaction. And I think that the Bank of Ghana has to look at these things and compare the banks to do what is right. Because if these banks were operating in some jurisdiction, they couldn't have done all these things. But because Ghanaians are timid, we are not expressive of what we are not comfortable about. And so service providers...
Is it because we are timid, or we find it to be stressful to now go through the process of report and wait for, probably it could be too stressful to go through all this process and you end up not even having it fixed.
But it takes one person to make a change. It takes many to conform, but only one to transform. So, for example, when you are driving, we'll go to the traffic light. When you are driving and you see that the traffic light, all the lights are on at the same time, everybody will decide to pass. Recently, I was driving around the Bosche transition area. One of the ECG cables had sagged, and vehicles were just passing through the sag cables. If those cables touches your car, you could get electrocuted. People were just trying to pass around. Nobody stopped to even call the service provider. I just have to stop and call the service provider. So if, let's say, a car was coming with high speed and didn't see it far in advance, that could have also caused an accident and people could lose their life. And so I think that as consumers, we also owe it an obligation to report things that we see they don't meet standard.
Right. Now, let's now talk about, I'm seeing some good there. 52%, 48%, and all that. Tell me, how do you get to this 52 and good and all that?
And so, these are the research findings. So it's a nationwide study that we did, and we asked consumers to talk about their banking experience. So the way they are served in the banking hall, the speed. The speed, you realize that 48.3% said that it is good, and then...
availability of online banking and mobile banking.
Yes, and also we've seen that almost all the banks, they are doing well, largely good. And so I think the speed is a bit of an issue, because if you look at all the complaints from the consumers, you realize the speed alone is up to about 18 to about 19%. Yeah. That is very wrong. So this means that, and it's also wrong. Sometimes you go to a bank, the bank may have about 5 or 6 teller points, but only 2 of them are up there, and you have to spend all your days and your time there just to get your money accepted, or you'll be able to make your
have a transaction done. Right. Let's go to the next slide and see what we have there. Let's go to the next slide and see. Okay, there we go. This is banking and financial services challenges faced by consumers, poor customer care, Okay, if I'm seeing right.
Yes, so poor customer care, people also found. And then there's also a fraud, about 30% complain about fraud.
Fraud?
Yes, so fraud is that somebody, you are there when you see a debit transaction on your account. And one of the problems is that when you write a check and you send it to your bank, the bank wants to give you a call to confirm that the check is coming to you. Now, people have been doing this same swap, and it's happened. The banks, they know it. So the telephone call that they use to call to verify transaction, those things are not foolproof because somebody can just swap your SIM card in a way that as soon as the call comes, the call goes to that person. Then if those guys are, cartel, they are cartel, they can easily get access to your money by allowing the transaction to go through. And also, people also talk about waiting time in the banking hall is also an issue. And we need to do more. The new BOG has come. Consumers want to see efficiency in the banking hall spaces.
Did you get any research on people who just enter the banks when they are working and they are feeling hot? They just enter the bank and sit down for a while to enjoy the AC, drinks, chilled water before they move out?
No, that was not part of our research, objective. So those people, we didn't look at them, but we see that thing happen sometimes.
Right. Let's move on to the next slide. That's what we have there in the next slide. Yes, okay. So it's still on banking and financial services.
Yes, so banking, the banking satisfaction, I think the satisfaction level is okay, largely 52.
Satisfied is it's a pass.
Yes, but then when you have about 40% saying they are neutral, then it means a lot.
It's more like saying they are indifferent.
They are indifferent, yes. They are not convinced. Though it's not necessarily bad, but you can do better. And about 3.4% said that they are dissatisfied. And so ranking of banking services in Ghana is also very well. About 2/3 also gave it an average, and about 10% also below average. But I think we can do more as a country.
Right.
Let's go to the next slide.
The next slide, please. Results. Okay, so monthly electricity expenditure, ECG consumers.
So frequent. So let me put on notice. This data collection was collected at a time that there was no shortage in the generational mix in the country.
So which year is this?
So we did the data collection last year, I think between the month of July, August, September. So that time we had stable power. And yet 52.75 experienced outages 1 to 2 times per week. 32.6 also 3 times a week, and then 4.65 also talks about they not receiving no outage.
Right.
Let's go to the
next one. At a time where nothing like power cuts was really happening. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Now,
but forgive me, but what could be the reason why at the time they were experiencing this cut in their electricity and all that?
I mean, when you live in Accra, your light is stable. But go to the other parts of the country. Go to Kumasi. I mean, it's very bad. Anytime you call people, our light is off. And I think that ECG has to do more in terms of those who live in other parts of the country. If we don't fix issues at the other parts of the country, everybody will come to Accra. You know, prior before 2020, Ashanti region was the most populous region. Now, Greater Accra is the populous region, all because of some of these things. If we don't fix the issues in other parts of the country, everybody will come to Accra here.
I think I like this bit of the research, where it questions Ghanaians on awareness and use of redress mechanisms.
Yes. So here we explore whether you are aware when you get a problem. What do you do? Do you know by right for water? For here, only 10% said that they know their right. And then 28.7 said they know a moderate amount of their right. Then 34.2 said they know a little bit. And then 26.2 said they don't know anything about their right as a consumer. And that is also wrong.
I mean, we can trace this back to the conversation we had earlier, the multi-trade conversation, where people don't really know how to, talk about the issue of increments and all that.
Yes.
Because they're not even aware that it's a right for them.
I mean, when you go and buy something from a shop and you come home and you've changed your mind, most shops have written on their receipt, goods sold here are not returnable.
Not return here.
They will do the best they can do for you is that you can use it to swap something. Meanwhile, if you only went there to buy television, now you don't need a television. Now they are forcing you to what? Change it to what? A refrigerator, which is very wrong. And the sad thing is that most of these firms that are operating in Ghana operate in other countries in Africa.
Differently.
And then when they go there, they do what is right. Consumers are able to exchange things that they don't want. But when they come to Ghana, because our laws, of course, the laws even permit that. Our Sales of Goods Act, if I buy something, I don't like it, I can change it. But the businesses are not willing to. Sometimes they will say that, look, bring it to me. When I sell it, you come and get your money, and then you go back. The thing has been sold, and then yet your money is not available to be given to you.
Exactly. I remember sometime about 2 or 3 years ago, we had the FDA or one of the outfits questioning one of the malls that was open here in Ghana. When you enter there, they sell lots of products from a foreign country, and none of the inscriptions like how to use the products are written in English. They were all in a different language, and they kept telling them change the language, and they never did until they actually left the country.
Yes, and that is very, very wrong with all, and even those goods were not supposed to have been permitted to
enter into the country.
So, but the sad thing is that at the port, we are paying a lot of agencies there to ensure that if it is food, FDA is there. We have the GSA also there to make sure that standards are also met. But then all these fake things and substandard goods are entering into the country through the port.
So, explain to me what this means. Most common source of drinking water in Ghana, with the percentages.
Yes, so about 73.9 rely on pipe water, and about 18% also use the borehole water, and less than 1% rely on stream waters. That means that we have done very well. But now that Galamsey has now that the Galamsey has taken over everywhere. Even all these sorts of waters have now been compromised. We have been told that Ghana Water Company needs more chemicals to be able to purify the waters. And that is why we all need to support this government to fight and win the war against Galamsey. If you don't win this war, I tell you that your livelihood and my livelihood will be affected. Very soon, look, we are all sitting on time bomb because the fish that you buy from the market, most of these things might have been harvested from the polluted streams and rivers of Galamsey, and you and I are eating them. They are using this product, arsenic and all the mercuries, and we are eating them. So it's a big health issue that we all need to make sure that this government wins the war against Galamsey.
And reporting water-related issues, 38.7% of respondents have reported a water-related issue. Of those who reported issues, 53.9%, almost 60%, almost 54% says they had their issue fully addressed. 38.2% says they received only partial resolution, and 7.87% said had no resolution at all.
And that is sometimes you make a phone call. In Ghana, when you even call most of these agencies, they want to know are you a doctor? So if they tend to even attach weight to the status of the person who is calling or who has called, which is also wrong. Because when I pay let's say the truck pusher or the Aboboya rider pays money to the water company, but yet when he gets a problem, and somebody who is a PhD or a doctor or a lawyer, they are more likely to prioritize the concern of what? The so-called elite. And I think it's also wrong how consumer complaints are treated.
Right. And this is what you've been talking about all this while, awareness of consumer rights and laws.
Yes, so we talk about
yeah.
it. It's also in the water sector. It's also the same. You realize that people don't know their rights in the water sector at all. If your water is not even coming, what are ideally the water companies are supposed to publish their time that they'll be off, because when I have a contract, I expect water to flow through all the time.
Exactly.
But we know that it is not possible. But they are supposed to tell us that, look, you are going to get water, let's say 5 times a week or 3 times a week. And even tell you when the water will come. But most of the time, they will not even tell you when the taps will be open. 2, they open the taps when you are asleep. By the time you wake up, that is also wrong. And I hope that PURC is watching us, and they will also compare the water company to do what is needful of them.
Yes. Yes, this one says usually it's still on water satisfaction with services provided by the Ghana Water Company Limited. 2.6% says very take me through this.
Yes.
2.6%.
So we also decided to explore what consumers' satisfaction with the Ghana Water Company, and about 50%, half of them said that they are very neutral. I mean, neutral means that either they are not getting water all the time or whatever. And only 27.4 said they are satisfied. 16.65 also they satisfy with the services provided by Ghana Water Company. Unfortunately, when I was a child growing up, we were all drinking from the tap water. But today, I mean, people are not drinking from the tap, which is also wrong. And so you've seen that household expenditure on bottle or sachet water has gone up so much significantly higher than even how much we pay to the Ghana Water Company.
Telecommunications sector, consumers' perception on NCA and awareness of redress mechanisms. Right.
And so when you look at the telecom sector, NCA is the sector regulator. And we wanted to see how people perceive NCA. When you have a problem with your service provider, the first thing you do is that you complain to your service provider. And they have up to some number of days to respond. If they don't respond, then you can escalate it to what? NCA. But you realize that when people have a problem with MTN, let's say MTN or Etetigo, whatever, most consumers will be calling them when they are not getting any proper response. Instead of escalating it to the regulator, people are not aware that NCA can intervene to support. Personally, a lot of time that I have a problem on my fiber broadband or my phone, I first reach out to the regulator. The providers. If they are not helpful, then I escalate it to the NCA, and all the time I do get support. So it's all about the knowledge level. People don't know what is required of them, and so once they are informed of their right and the information, I'm sure that they will be able to take their complaints further. They will no longer go to God in prayer with some of these small things, but rather they will go to the service provider with their complaints.
But what exactly are you doing to ensure that the education is there? You know, if my TV gets spoiled as a result of continuous flickering of my light, you know, I have to get some compensation from the authority in charge. How are you ensuring that people actually get to understand these complications and education?
All of these things are in the laws, and we don't need any new laws on this. The PURC has a regulations, and the regulation says that if a consumer UCG, and there are some time that UCG power outage cause someone's house to get burnt.
Yes,
they have to PURC mandated the company to build the house and install all the furnishings in the house. So the law works. The problem is that people don't know the law. And when you don't know the law, the service provider will also keep quiet and telling you you're right. And so I think that the PURC, NCA, Civil Aviation Authority, all of these agencies are supposed to, educate the consumers of their right. I think we'll go to the aviation sector.
Aviation,
and
right.
On the aviation sector, one of the key challenges that we have was that when people travel they travel, sometimes their bags will not come with them. And let's say if you live in Tamale and you arrive from London or New York and your bags don't arrive, you have to wait and get your bag, or you go to Tamale and send somebody to what?
For you.
Yeah. And these things are a cost to the consumer. And so in most countries, what they do is that whenever your bags don't come with you, you go and fill a form. The airline is required to deliver the bags to your address. I remember in 2015, I went to Manchester for a conference with one of the airlines here. My bags didn't arrive. I reported it to them. They gave me £800 to go and use to buy things that I would need for the first day, because I was going to a conference and I was going to make a presentation.
Who gave you this money?
The airline.
The airline, right.
To go and buy things that are out, because none of my things came. And I was going to make presentation. Mm-hmm. So I went and bought everything that I needed. And then the second day, they brought the bags to my hotel room.
So then what happens to the money they give you?
Oh, but that is, it's for you, because they are compensating you.
Right.
Fast forward 2 years' time, I flew from US to Ghana with the same carrier. My bags didn't come. In Accra here, I was told to what? Go to the airport and fill a form and later come and follow it up and get it. So you see that the rules operate differently. But,
depending on where you are.
But, that is very wrong, because it is even more expensive for you to travel here than those people coming to your country. So the poor people are paying more to travel, yet they don't get utility for the money that they pay. And and I'm happy that the Ghana Civil Aviation has started a process to also enhance their consumer protections initiatives. They are coming up with an app that allows consumers to report their complaints. For example, if your bags don't arrive, let's say if the airline, your bags arrive and then they have been tampered with, any issue that affects you as a consumer, very soon you'll be able to report it on the app that the GCA has kind of put together.
Right. Now, let's talk more about, going forward, should there be a regular conversation, and not necessarily from media owners, but the outfits, something like PURC goes on TV, that's the regular conversation about these things. Because I remember about 2 years or a year ago, there was some training for media men as to how to make people understand that even when you're, like you said, at a time where Ghanaians were suffering for intermittent power cuts and all that, to let people understand that, listen, if one's machine or whatever gets spoiled, they can be reimbursed. But people also end up, as humans as we are, people also end up, intentionally messing with the things to go and get money. So how do we ensure that, in as much as we are calling out all these outfits to make sure that their customers or consumers are in good position, the people, how do you also regulate their behavior?
Okay, so I think that when you report a problem, PURC, and I've had this experience before. About 9 years ago, one gentleman that I knew, ECG came to change the meters, and in the process of changing the meters, they swapped the cables. So when one of the guys came to the house and he was taking a shower, he nearly got electrocuted. He was even but he was just that he didn't die, and he suffered a lot of damages. So later, when the case was sent to PURC, PURC sent engineers to come to the scene to examine. When they came, they saw that indeed the action by the ECG cell provider occasioned the electrocution. And so the fact that you've said that your TV has gone black because of the power outage does not necessarily allow you to get any compensation. It has to be established by the regulator, and they need to test, and they are experts in this area to test that everything remain intact, with the exception of your television Then once they go through the process using their technical understanding, they'll be able to know what is permissible and what is not permissible.
Do you have an idea of probably, let's say, how much money, or maybe the biggest money ever given to somebody as compensation as a result of their things getting spoiled from these utility outfits?
Oh, I mean, last year, the previous executive secretary of PURC, Dr. Aka, talked about a lot of compensation that they have been given to Ghanaians, and sometimes the story also went into details to tell us the highest and the lowest, and these things are there. But the fact, all that we are saying is that you don't need to go and destroy your items and come back to PURC. You will come back and they will tell you that, look, my friend, you destroy it yourself. Please don't let us do what is right and not necessarily try to become bad guys, just trying to go and
make some money.
Make the money by abusing the system.
Right. I mean, interesting. I mean, this has been quite a very good conversation. But one of the most interesting parts has been the banking one.
Yes.
You know, where, because I know personally, I believe the online banking it's way faster and better than physically going to the bank.
Yes, the online banking is better, but the issue was the e-levy. And the e-levy, a lot of consumers were, 1% means a lot to someone, a lot of people. As people rather prefer to go to the banking hall to withdraw their money. Yes. Maybe we can also look at the sanitation bit, the study. We've also realized that as part of the study, we did a sanitation.
Sanitation?
Yes.
Can we get that? I mean, there's a whole conversation about sanitation on Metro TV.
Yes.
Making sure we fight the canker in that. So if you can get the slide on sanitation for a quick conversation, I'll be grateful, please.
So the sanitation, most people complain of the key challenges by consumers in the sanitation area was that they are not getting frequent pickup of their waste.
They are not what?
Getting a frequent pickup. So sometimes instead of a weekly pickup, it may go to 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then they have not come to pick your garbage.
Then it piles up.
It piles up, and you know, a city where cholera is a perennial disease. If we don't resolve this, one day cholera will kill everybody in the country. And so we need to ensure. Unfortunately, most consumers that we spoke to don't know what to do when their garbage are not being picked on time.
But what am I supposed to do if I'm subscribed to a service which is supposed to come and pick my refuse that has compiled, or piled up behind my building? If they don't come 1 week, 2 weeks, am I supposed to wait for it to rain so I throw them in the drainage, or what exactly should I do?
I mean, you are not supposed to throw your garbage into the drainage. That is very bad practice.
Absolutely.
Because you end up, creating more problems that you are trying to solve. Ideally, your garbage service provider is supposed to give you a contact number that, please, if after we are supposed to come once every week, if after the 8th day we have not come, this is the number to call. And that number should not just be a one number. It should be 3 numbers. So that if you call first number and it doesn't go through, you can call the second number. But they are not doing all these things. They don't even provide any FAQ. And I think that businesses and service providers must provide an enhanced FAQ. That's the frequently asked questions. And some of these things can be answered if we have frequently asked questions. When you go to abroad, most of this in other jurisdictions, for example, you don't even need to call anybody online over the phone to explain things. A lot of things are, when you go to their website, you can find that they have provided an antidote to most of these problems. But in Ghana, service providers do not provide any meaningful FAQ. Neither does the regulator also provide FAQ on the basic problems that consumers are going through. So whenever you get a problem, you are supposed to what? Take it at yourself and then pray to God about it.
We live in a country where we give say for money.
Yes, and coming back to another sector I also did was the road safety. And road safety again, when you are driving on a highway and you see a broken car on the road,
right?
Sometimes most of these cars don't even have any warning triangle, and you will just drive and pass by, and another person will come and run into it and die. So the laws are not punitive enough, or either the laws are not punitive enough or the enforcement regime is weak. Because elsewhere, you cannot leave your car broken down on the road and then go and sleep somewhere. But here, even when someone's car breaks down on the road, they want to fix the car in the middle of the road, causing a whole lot of traffic, and police will also drive by. These things are wrong. On the commercial passenger vehicles.
Yes, I think it's on the screen now, yes.
We asked, I mean, if you look at the qualitative, the qualitatives, one passenger said that she was on a car from Kumasi to Accra. The driver was overspeeding, and he didn't know what to do. So he told the driver to please slow down. And then someone said, look, Senka, on Pentema, if he was not in a hurry, he would have gone with what? A tortoise.
Oh my goodness.
Do you get it?
Yes.
So this one, it was a passenger who was telling a fellow passenger that, look, please, the driver, you are going speed. And sometimes too, when you are even in a car and the driver is over speed, what do you do? There's no mechanism in place for you. All you can do is pray to God. God, please take us safely home. Take us safely home. I mean, there should be a mechanism by which you can easily report this action while it is live, so that you don't go and die. What's the guarantee that that reckless driver will take you to your final destination?
Exactly. I mean, and imagine your co, how do I say it, throttle occupants is telling to keep quiet for telling the driver not to speed too much.
Yes.
You know.
And
disturbing.
We are kind of worried because look, consumers don't know anything about safety. Even most of the cars that we take, trotters, highway cars, don't even have a seat belt.
I've seen some vehicles, especially the big buses, they have numbers written on them.
Yes.
And in case the driver, drives badly on the road, you can call this number. Maybe we should have that in almost all our commercial transports.
Yes. Yes, that is also fine. Even escape route, I mean, emergency exit are also not even in our buses because...
and even if they are, those escape routes are not even movable. You can't even move the glass because they are fixed.
No, I mean, they provide a hammer, a light hammer for you to use to break the glass in case there's an emergency. But, I mean, elsewhere, when you sit in a bus, the driver will come and tell you, look, we are going to Kumasi to Accra. It's 5-hour journey. Please, in case of any smoke or blah, 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 any accident, please, this is the escape emergency exit. Use this hammer to break it. Like when you sit in an aeroplane, all these safety things are told, you go through the safety protocol. Here, we don't prioritize safety on our roads.
I mean, the conductor wants his money, asking you to pay and get in the car, and yes, there's no time for education for you.
Please,
the car
life
moves.
is one, and we must prioritize life over people. And that is the problems we have in this country.
Absolutely.
We don't respect life. All we want is money, 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 money over people.
And enjoyment.
Yes.
I mean, Ghanaians like to enjoy their lives.
And on the road safety, we talk about overspeeding. Overspeeding. 76.35 talks about overspeeding as a problem. Then bad roads, 40 vehicles, overloaded vehicles.
40 vehicles should be like number one.
Yes.
Because I mean, some of the church, 90% of them.
And yet they all have roadworthy stickers. And I think that one thing that government can also do is that we can find resources and withdraw all those old and rickety cars, and give them new ones on high purchase, so that we can start having decent buses on our road. Unfortunately, the previous administration, the NDC, set up this Ayalololo, and it was working all right, and now it's almost not available. People have just been renting them to move their staff or school students.
Yeah, excursion and all that.
Yeah,
Tomonto careers.
We don't have a very good public transportation system in Ghana, and it's very, very wrong. Elsewhere, urban mobility, and I've been saying that, look, our legalization of Okada is a testament that our urban transportation has failed. Because if our urban transportation has worked well, there would have been no need for Okada in our cities.
Right.
And I don't think it's still too late for us to accept it fatalistically that we can't do anything about it.
Okada conversation is for another day, because I'm also hearing that they might even be giving uniforms and all that. Yes. Anyways, let's speak about recommendations. Recommendations from you.
Okay, so
yes.
The first
we have just about 3 minutes for this.
So recommendations is that we need to have a consumer protection law.
Right.
Currently, we do not have the law. The process started far back in 2008 and it stalled within the last 8 years. And the good thing is that this current administration also talk in their manifesto that they will prioritize the consumer protection law. And so we expect it to get passed. And we are also working with the Ministry of Trade to make sure that this thing gets to Parliament in no time.
Right.
That is our first recommendation. The second recommendation is that consumers need to ask questions. Hitler says that I use my emotion for the many and reserve the reason for the few. If you don't ask questions, nobody will give you an answer. If you go to a service provider and you are not getting what is right, ask questions, ask to speak to the supervisor, and most of the time, your problem can be resolved.
Right.
Don't take it to social media. Social media may not resolve the problem. Talk to whoever has
but it may also create attention and throw some light on there.
What if the business is not on social media?
Right.
So just target whoever is supposed to resolve it. And then also, I also want to say that regulators have to spend resources on consumer education.
Right.
Consumer education. That is the key. If you want to look at the tenets of the consumer protection law, there is a provision that handles consumer education. Because consumers don't have a lot of information. The businesses, they have their resources. They can get the best brains, but the consumers may not have access to those information. So let us make sure that all regulators put resources for training, for educating consumers,
right,
so that consumers can know their right. And then also service providers must
the last one.
Yes, must also meet up to expectation. Because if you don't meet up to expectation and the market changes and a new competitor comes with a better service, quality of service, you may lose out from the market.
And Apia Kusi Adomakon Esquire is director for West African Regional Center CATS. We've been speaking everything about consumer rights. We started earlier with a conversation on the FIC, announcing that or hinting that Richard Yama hasn't paid around 30 million Ghana cedi. I mean, after a lavish party he threw at the Independence Square with a lot of people from other places coming in to enjoy. He's been told to face the law, and according to our expert, he might or may be asked to go behind bars for more than 20 years if found guilty, even after paying the monies. And thank you so much to Apia Kusi Adumakong for helping us talk about consumer rights and all that. Hopefully come back anytime. Thank you so much. I am Bryce Nana Kwesiamani. Some other time, I believe by Thursday, Akosia Free, who is the original on all the seats, will be back in here. Have a good afternoon and bye.
Watch out for Cook Africa Season 2 coming to the Metro TV with Ahiniwa. This time around, we are coming with some surprises